welcome, fellow faculty members. This is Neil Mayers here, and I am the host for today's session of How Cool Is That? For today, we're really lucky to have two of our esteemed colleagues here, Dr. Jamie Lennahan and Professor Monique Lewis. Could you, Dr. Lennahan, introduce yourself, please, and tell us a little bit about your background.
All right. Thank you, Neil. I have a PhD in political science, and I teach political science in all its forms here at Germanna, and I've been here since 2013 as a full-time faculty member, and I started teaching in 2003, I think, at the University of Colorado as a graduate student.
Oh.
So it's been a while.
You've been teaching a long time. Professor Lewis.
Hi, my name is Monique Lewis, and I am English faculty here at Germanna. I've been here for about 12, maybe going on 13 years. I lose track after a while. I used to teach high school years and years ago. So when I initially started teaching, that's where I began. And now I'm department co-chair, which that's about the end, so about to phase out. But that's pretty much what I do on a daily, just teach English and try to have some fun.
Oh boy, teaching high school, Monique, God bless you. Woo.
It was, but fortunately I left before they started to institute the SOLs.
Oh my goodness, you got out just like
just in time.
They beamed you off the Enterprise just before the Klingons blew up the ship. I got you. Good. Tell us about what you guys are going to talk about is so cool. It's about TikTok, how you're using it. And Monique, I think the idea started with you. Tell us about TikTok and what the original idea, what motivated you to think about using it in the classroom.
Okay, so the funny thing is, in this pandemic moment, the social media has been the place to be social because you're not around other people. So I would watch a lot of videos and watch things on my tablet or on my computer. So I would start watching one thing that piqued my interest. 3 hours later, I'm down the rabbit hole and I'm watching millions of videos, and I'm watching all the different TikTok videos and looking at the trends and the dances. And I was initially trying to figure this thing out. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, how do these people just know? And as I watch, I said, okay, so it's the trend is moving, they're catching on. And when we started doing an RSI training for Germanna, for the VCCS, one of the questions that was asked in our training was about how to engage students in a way that was pretty much non-traditional. Let's step out of the discussion board. Let's step out of, the things that we normally do. What else can we do to get them engaged? And I immediately thought of the TikTok videos because it seemed to be so much the language of the current generation that they all knew it.
And you had been captivated by it just like they had been. And then that's kind of where you got I get it, they got the idea to use it here. Now, where were you when you guys were collaborating, when you ended up sharing this idea together?
It was actually in an RSI class. I did not even know that Jamie had picked up on my idea until she contacted me, because I was really just responding to a prompt as a creative way. It was my brain blast, really, just a creative way to speak to the prompt and to speak to the generations for this particular assignment. And I just really didn't think that anyone was paying me any attention. And I think she responded to my prompt that she liked the idea, she thought it was creative, but the fact that she took it and ran with it, because I was still mulling it over in my brain, and she moved forward with it and she let me know, and that was exciting for me.
Awesome. And Jimmy, what was the challenge that you had that you said this could work for?
So I was dealing with really struggling to get my students to engage with the discussion boards in my online classes. And I saw Monique's post in the discussion board about using TikTok to engage the students. And I thought that sounded like such a great way to kind of get them to approach something in a way that is more familiar and comfortable for them. And so I took in one of my online classes last semester as kind of a final wrap up. I was looking for a way to do a discussion board that would sort of wrap up the course, answer some of their questions, but get them to talk about, what they had learned and what questions they still had, and to kind of think broadly about the course as we wrapped it up. And so I did I called it a TikTok style video because I didn't actually ask them to post it on TikTok. But I basically set up the discussion by saying, create a TikTok style video, just like you would post something on TikTok, only appropriate for a classroom environment. With, and I think I had 3 questions that I wanted them to answer in the video. What they learned in the course, what they thought they could take from the course to their life, and then what they wanted to learn but they hadn't. So what questions they still
Now,
have.
question for both of you: are you both on TikTok yourselves currently? Do you both have an account?
I'm not. I'm a watcher, not a doer,
There you
because
go.
I'm a little nervous. I'm still a little nervous about it. So I just
I
watch.
hear you. Jamie, are you on TikTok?
No, the only TikTok videos I see are those that friends send to me.
Sure.
I'm not really actually on social media at all anymore. So I don't have a good, I don't have my finger on the pulse of the social media world at all.
But and since we're all over 40, none of the rest of us, no, I think none of us do. But with that said, you clearly both do, because you get that your students are watching this. So if I understand it, you asked them to respond to this discussion with a TikTok, and you were hoping to get a less, what I'll call, traditional or more out of the box response. How did it work?
It actually worked really well. I was very pleased, and I made the prompt as a video, and so I tried to model that for them. So I wrote the questions I wanted them to answer on a whiteboard and just held it up to the screen, and just tried to be very casual. And I got really good responses that I felt were much more in the spirit of when you're physically in a classroom together, and they're speaking up and commenting and participating in the discussion without spending all of this time thinking about it first. I think with the online discussions, they are writing, and I think some of them really approach it in a way where they feel like they're writing essay or something, and it's not spontaneous. This was spontaneous, and I had a couple students that were walking around their house with their phone, just sort of talking. So I was really pleased with kind of the spontaneity that I got. It just felt a lot more natural and more in the spirit of an in-person classroom discussion.
So it achieved the informality, it achieved the kind of out of the box kind of thought process you were wanting. Was everybody able to do it, or pretty much everybody able to participate, or did you get good participation too?
I didn't actually get better participation than I did with traditional written discussion boards. So that was disappointing. But one thing that I did do, because I didn't have all of a sudden the entire class decide to respond, was that I recorded video responses back to them. So I answered every question that they had in their post in video form.
And did you do that TikTok style too, or was that just
that was TikTok style, in that I just kind of sat here with bad lighting and my coffee, and and spoke spontaneously, so it wasn't like a recorded lecture.
It was fabulous. But you got as good response from it as you would have from a discussion, but with more robust conversation in it. Fabulous. Monique, question back to you. How did you see that? Is that kind of how you saw that, or tell me
Well, yeah, that's a good question. So when I envisioned the response, I thought of it more so as having students pick an idea from the course. It was a way of trying to check if they understood stuff, but just in smaller increments, because we can gauge the bigger stuff. We always find ways to gauge that, but what is it that they're really holding on to? So as educators, we know that if you can teach something, that means you understand something. So the goal was to have the students pick an idea, at least just one concept from the class that they felt they really understood and owned, and have them to explain it or share it back through a TikTok video to their peers. And then you have all these specializations of this one idea or one concept from a multitude of perspectives or various ideas. It was just one way to create a wealth of information, a wealth of ideas, and a wealth of sharing.
Fabulous.
Because, they stopped listening to us. Students stop listening to our voices. We become like parents. It's just like, wah, but they hear each other.
That's a fabulous way of looking at it. So they're learning from each other as much as outstanding. Last question to both of you, and we'll start with you, Monique, since you were talking. Any lessons learned, anything, advice you'd give to other people thinking about this, or lessons you've learned from this whole process?
Well, the one thing that struck me by it all is just the fact that, as I said this when I first started, that Jamie heard me, that Jamie listened to me, that my coworker, my peer, my colleague, she engaged me, and I didn't even know it, that I said something that impacted my educational environment, my learning space, my working community, that could help edify our students, that could help build how we teach and what we do, so that we're not all isolated in little boxes, but we are a part of this big learning community. And I wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to share ideas with Jamie had it not been for this situation, or either to get feedback from her about it and to learn that, hey, Monique, I tried your idea and it's really doing something good in my class. I even asked her, hey, since I was still trying to mull it over in my brain as to how, I would actually implement it. And I asked her to send me her instructions, and she shared with me how she modified it and what she did with it. So now I have a basis have at least a model of how it's worked when someone's actually put it into place. So I can, as I move forward and try to implement it, I already know what has worked.
Jimmy, this sounds like a great PBL exercise.
Kind of, yeah.
Tell us about, with that said, wrap it up for us. Tell us what you learned from this process and advice you'd give to others.
So I think the first thing that this really solidified for me is how valuable collaboration between colleagues is, as Monique was saying. And I think that the discussion board assignments in the training courses that we do are the most valuable part of those trainings, because they allow us to collaborate with each other. And so, really kind of coming to those assignments with the idea that I'm not just doing the assignment, but this is collaboration. This is a way for me to talk to my colleagues and see lots of different ideas all in one place. Because, like Monique said, we work in pretty isolated circumstances, and we don't always get that opportunity. So when we have that opportunity, really coming to it with that in mind, that like, I should look at this as a way to find new ideas.
Fabulous. And the last question I'm going to ask that I'm sure everybody will have is, will all the faculty have access to your video and the TikTok video? Will we all get that, Jamie, or no? Is that something you're going to share?
Give it to you if you want. Okay. I'm happy to share it.
Just kidding. I just wanted to try to pick it. All right. Well, good. Well, listen, this has been fabulous. I just want to thank, ladies, I want to thank both of you for joining us today. And with that said, you'll be able to reach out to them to ask questions if you have them. And if not, we will see you next time. Talk to you soon.